You guys can take your seat. बैठने बोल दे लोग. Okay. I welcome you all for this first event of its kind, the JanManch, organized by the Parliamentarians Club of Kautilya School of Public Policy. I welcome all the judges. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for being here. This event, JanManch event, is a mock parliament event, and the idea of this event is to inculcate seeds of the parliamentary setup of lawmaking, how law is framed. We expect you guys to come up with ideas, deliberation, and debates which will increase, which will sort of raise the standard of debating and discussion in the House. We have the ruling sitting over here, we have the Prime Minister, we have Minister of Finance, we have Minister of Law and Justice, we have Health Ministry, we have the coalition sitting here with Minister of Women and Child Welfare. We have the opposition sitting here, leader of opposition is sitting here, we have the leader of, in the opposition, we have the regional alliance partner, the leader of party. And I would like to begin, I would request the speaker to take on from here, and we'll start with this event. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon to all members. I would request everyone to stand up for the national anthem, please. I request everyone to keep standing for the oath-taking ceremony. Request all the honorable members to repeat after me. I, having been elected a member of the House, solemnly affirm that I will bear the true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India, as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter. Thank you so much. I would request everyone to sit down, please. I welcome everyone to the House of People, JanManch. I, Shankar Narayanan, will be the Speaker of the House. I will be supported by observers Mr. Mayank Gupta and Mr. Aditya Jhingan. To the right of the House, members of Nav Nirman Dal are seated and led by Prime Minister Shri Himanshu Trivedi. To the center of the chair, Coalition Party Democratic Union is seated, led by Mr. Rituparna Mishra. To the left of the chair, the opposition alliance comprising of the National Party Lok Niti Party, led by Ms. Nikita Jagdish, and supported by the regional party Prantiya Rashtra Samiti, led by Mr. Trilok Kotapalli. I welcome all the members of the House. I would like to announce the agenda for the day. We will begin the discussions on Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021. The discussions will be followed by a question hour. Copies of the questions have been sent to all the members duly. The question hour will be followed by a 15-minute tea break. After the break, the House will commence with the 0 hour, which will be for 40 minutes, concluding by Prime Minister's address. Post the 0 hour, we'll have discussions on the Election Laws Amendment Bill 2021. Finally, the House will be adjourned post a vote of thanks by the Speaker. I now request the commencement of the discussion on Child Marriage Amendment Bill. I request Minister of Women and Child Development, Ms. Tanushka, to lay the bill.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the House. I would like to put on the floor the Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021.
I would ask all the members to consider the motion for consideration of this bill. All in favor, raise their hands. Okay, so we will commence the discussion of this bill. The first speaker is from the opposition party, Ms. Ocean Sahare.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable members and the honorable speaker. So I would like to discuss about that bill, which tends to increase 3 years the age of marriage of women, and which will be criminalizing women if they get married under the age of 21. I think the implications has not been focused very well of this bill. So I am saying because under the first impression you will be seeing the gender equality, but the other thing, the implication of them are more drastic and the situation might get worse. So I would like to highlight the implications of this bill. So first is marriage, child marriage. The bill supposed to decrease the child marriage rates in India, but have you ever, thought about it? We like us get our reproductive age by the puberty. When the puberty hits, it's nature's calls whenever it hits. And right now the age of marriage for women is 18, and we are increasing it by 3 years, not one, not two, drastically 3 years, and it might increase the child marriages. So the committee which were reporting this survey before the ruling parties committee, which is Jaya Jaitli's leading committee, and they were tie up with a organization, Young Voices of Nations. So they conducted a survey which contradicts the report, this bill. The survey says that there is a village in Rajasthan. So the girls in Rajasthan are not allowed to even come out of their house. So how are we saying that if we increase the 21 year the age? So is this making any effect? They are even not allowed to come out of their house, not for education, not for getting any help. And yes, the other fact is that 50% of girls get married before even turning 18, and this is not criminalized, it's common over there. And the girls, they don't even understand when the 40 years of men, or like 23, they get sexually they do mating and all, and the girls don't even understand what is happening with them. So are we educating them? Are we telling them? The other thing is honor killings. Honor killing even happen now. Right now it is happening, and if we are doing like the sexual attraction, it's comes. We all face it. Now it is 21 year of age, and we see now I am able to have this. After 18 we are okay, it is legalized that we have sex after 18. And if I had sex, if any girls had sex or boys had sex, and having sex is socially they doesn't respect it. So honor killings happen over there as well. So this will increase the number of honor killings right now happening. The other thing is abortion. So abortion is a big issue. Okay, it's okay. Like after 18, if you get pregnant, you can abort the child if it's 22 weeks. Sorry, 22 weeks. You can abort it, but does society accept it? you can't even enter. You will hesitate even enter to hospital. You will think about it 4 times, 5 times. Should I go? Should I go? And the other implication is on your mental health. Your mental health deteriorates. So this will increase the abortion rates, and which affects the physical health of the woman. According to NFS's data, the girls who gets pregnant under the age of 15 to 17 is already 7%, and 23% of girls get married under 18 right now. So this will also deteriorate the situation, this bill. And the other thing is the personal rights, the self rights of having sex, reproductive rights. This bill is basically doing moral policing. I am able to, it's my choice. If I am 18 and I am physically okay, I am educated, and I am earning, so it's my choice to get married or not get married. Does this bill makes any kind of, is it providing any incentive to me? No, like even during we saw in COVID, the unemployment rate for women has drastically gone up, and there is no free space for women to go out, no safe space. We see raids happening, we see the harassment happening. Does this bill make any provision? Does this bill solve any kind of this thing? So also it will increase the burden over parents. Right now the mentality of Indian society is ki ladki to boj hai. So what will happen if we increase this by 3 years? This will also try to develop that thought. After many decades, we see the sex ratio of India is 934. This is a very good, significant change, and this bill will create a ripple effect. I thought this will increase the notion of beti to boj hai. And lastly, I would say that the committee, the report of the committee like Jaya Jetli, it says if this
Please
bill
conclude in 1 minute.
okay, this bill will make no sense. The MMR report will not reduce the education, the empowerment. There is no sense in putting this bill in action if we are not addressing the root points. We are not providing the education, the health, the sexual harassment laws. This must be addressed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I would request Mr. Rawson Gonsalves. Please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Well, the prevalence of forced child marriages reinforces systemic gender inequalities globally, rippling away the young age of girls' opportunities for education, empowerment, and a bright future. Our country, India, once housed the highest number of child brides in the world, and although child marriage is prohibited by Indian formal law, in reality, we do know it, in rural areas, the situation is very different. This division between the formal and constitutional laws result in the continuity of early marriages, and in doing so also exposes the ineffectiveness of the progressive laws in India, while traditional prejudices and conservative patriarchal beliefs are preferred and imposed. Now, I do have an example of a young lady from my constituency, I won't name her, 18-year old, 12th grade. She was living with her grandparents who pressured her to marry a 25-year-old man from a wealthy family. Her family believed that marriage was her only option due to the early death of her parents, but she did not want to marry and had no one to turn up to help, so she reached out to the school authorities. After the headmaster of the school stopped the marriage, the family did not want her living with them, and they started abusing her for choosing studies over wanting to marry. There is another instance, again, I won't reveal the name, of a 19-year-old. She was forced to marry one of the older members of the family. The marriage was set up because she was in an affair or fell in love with a boy in the neighborhood, and the families didn't want them to be together. So eloping is becoming another common trend among the Indian youth nowadays. There are several instances like this. The honorable member over here highlighted an important thing. Although the number of child bride marriages remain high, India has made a lot of progress in the last decade, and the practice of underage marriage in India is less common today than it was previously there. Now, according to the United Nations report, India's progress in the last decade has been one of the strongest among the South Asian countries, with an annual reducing rate of 5.5%. So, this improvement suggests that legislations enacted by the government, like the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, along with policies, campaigns, and schemes, have been adopted.
Please conclude.
Surely. So, to conclude, I congratulate the Minister and the Ministry for increasing the age of women from 18 to 21 years of age. The intended progressive goal of this amendment with regards to women empowerment must be appreciated, and I hope that this amendment to raise the marriage age is justified and is fruitified not in theory but also in reality, owing for better education prospects for women, better nutrition levels, and ultimately a better society. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I request Ms. Snigdha.
Thank you, sir. The National Program on Adolescent Health, Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram, was launched in 2014. RKSK provides an impetus to the solid adolescent health interventions by a renewed focus on community-based health promotion and prevention combined with clinical-based preventive and curative services. Yet, that's just on paper. Challenges of early marriage, teenage pregnancy, anemia, and high incidence of maternal mortality continues to persist. Poor implementation of the program is probably to blame here. The need of the hour is a comprehensive and convergence among various departments to address all the needs of adolescents. Robust measures and policies to end teenage marriages and consequent pregnancies are exactly what India needs at present. So we really need this bill.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I request Leader of Opposition, Ms. Nikita Jagdish, to proceed.
For the convenience of the Sabha, I, as the Leader of Opposition, would like to ask for the pronoun of the Speaker. Unlike others in the government, we'd like an inclusive pronoun of the Speaker.
Proceed.
Pronoun.
He.
Respected Speaker, sir, I would like to begin by thanking the opposition as a woman for finally taking note of our situation and acknowledging the plight of the inequalities that we face. Let's give the credit where it's due. The intent as stated sounds great. Wow. In fact, their intent to sound like the messiahs of the world might have worked outside this parliament, but not inside. We are now looking at shifting the age of marriage of a girl child to 21 from 18 years in coherence with the boys and the men. Equality, respected, again, let's give the credit where it's due and it all ends here. In a parliament, this bill, where there is no representation for the 50% of the population that you're passing it for. Let me start with the newspaper headline that rolled out before the general elections of the 2019. India expects over 15 million first-time 18 to 19 year age group voters. At 18 years of age, the Indian law allows citizens to engage in the act of consensual sex. At 18 years of age, at our homes, we are expected to choose what we are going to study. At 18, both men and women are being trained at the National Defence Academy to be officers of this country. At 18, girls and boys are signing consent forms to donate their organs as live donors to save the lives in this country. At 18, Speaker, sir, girls and boys and others of this country are taking decisions to vote for their leader, and some of us might be just here. They are making decisions thinking in the mind what's best for their country, what's best for their state, what's best for the regions. At 18, girls, boys and others are making decisions regarding their body, where there is to engage with consensual sex or organ donation. At 18, girls and boys are taking pledges to fight for this country in arms if it comes to that. But in the same country, according to this government, girls and boys at 18 are psychologically, mentally, and physiologically immature. I beg for you and the Sabha to take note of the hypocritic decision and the dismissal of the very rationality of the youth of this country. With what right will they be asking for the votes in the election?
Please.
Child Marriage Act of 2006 stated no scientific background to change, no scientific backing to change the age. This declares a significant population of the country who are going to be the future. They're calling immature without any evidence. I would like to ask on the floor of this house, on behalf of all those 18-year-olds who's voted for me, who's voted for each one in the parliament, who are you to call me or anybody immature? Who are we? Who are you? By changing this age, they should also be changing the definition of child in this country. Then shouldn't child laws change too? Shouldn't RTE change too? Shouldn't juvenile justice system change too? This is a significant and an unnecessary burden which is going to be a huge legislative cost on the state that they might have just missed out. And it's okay, opposition hai. Speaker sir, kahani idhar khatam nahi hoti. There are significant changes in the personal laws too. This was a crafty way to implement their intent and I must compliment them for that. Let me say it out loud for the world to hear because they are in denial. The Uniform Civil Code. With this, sir, the government in the name of empowering women, protecting girl children, and most importantly in the name of equality is trying to disrupt the very same diversity that each of these children that we are speaking of are highlighting in the very first line of the Independence Day and Republic Day speeches even today at schools. The hypocrisy must not be foregone. This deception must not be forgiven.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I request Mr. Wasim Ahmed to proceed.
Good afternoon, members. Good afternoon, Honorable Speaker, sir. Honorable Speakers, I would like to begin by saying that the opposition members, my fellow parliamentarians, have said that this bill does not answer the education, health, and etc., so on and so on. We are talking about Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. We have different schemes for education, different schemes for health, different schemes. We have other things to talk about that. Here we are merely saying we are raising the age from 18 to 21. I would like to begin by saying that this bill stands for all women who are and who have been victims of patriarchy generations after generations. Honorable Speaker, sir, there should be uniform age in the matter of matrimony. There should be equality. We are already quite late in doing so. The opposition has wasted 75 years by not bringing this bill up. We have done that today. Honorable Speaker, sir, Article 14 and Article 15 speaks of equality and we are trying to establish the same thing with this bill. This bill aims to break the mindset, the patriarchal mindset in the family where a woman is always supposed to be of a younger age to a man and she has to respond or obey his authority. We are trying to break that mindset with this bill, Honorable Speaker, sir. In an extensive survey that was done by our task force chairman, Madam Jaya Jaitley ji, in both rural and urban areas, it is on record that majority of women wanted to get married at the age of 22. So this is the voice of the will of the people that is being heard by the August House. Convention on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW. This acknowledges that countries have different age for marriages for girls because they think that women are intellectually inferior to men and they mature mentally later than men. This is what they think, right? That is the reason we are saying we should send them, as a country, we should send a message that in India, women and men are not treated unequally. We treat both of them equally. India endorsed CEDAW Convention in 1994, but it has taken a lot of time for the opposition to bring this bill up. CEDAW, there is another point, Honorable Speaker, sir. The best age for girls is said to be 20 according to all the health parameters. The female, my fellow parliamentarian spoke about the unemployment rate. The female labor force participation rate in our country is hovering around 25 to 28%. Our neighbors have 80% of participation of women in the workforce. The global average is 60%. It is a shame that we have only 25 to 28%. What do we need to do for that? We need the women to get out of the shackles of patriarchy and marriages and to study, to get into the employment, to perform, to run shoulder to shoulder along with men. That is what this bill will aim to do. Honorable Speaker, the maternal mortality rate is 145 deaths per 1 lakh women. The global average is only 2. Honorable Speaker, I think it is pertinent to remind this august House about a story of a forgotten story of Rakhma Bai Roth, who is the first doctor of India. She was born in Maharashtra at the age of in 1864. In 1891, it is because of her initiative that the first Age of Consent Act was passed, and the age was raised from 10 to 12 years. Honorable Speaker, she got married at 11. She rejected the marriage. The husband went to the court, and the judge gave her two options: you go back to your husband, or you spend 6 months in jail. Honorable Speaker, sir, 11-year-old girl decided to spend 6 months in jail rather than go back to her husband. Now, that is the inspiration that the generation today needs to take. And I really want to request the opposition members that this is a historic bill, and I would request you all to pass this bill unanimously and send a message to the people of our country that when it, irrespective of all our political differences, when it is about the future of our young women, we shall all stand together. Honorable Speakers, I would like to conclude by a few lines from a great poet. Jannat ek aur bhi hai jo mard ke pehlu mein nahi, उसकी आजाद रविश पर मचलना है तुझे, उठ मेरी जान मेरे साथ ही चलना है तुझे, उठ मेरी जान मेरे साथ ही चलना है तुझे. Heaven is not just in the arms of the man you love. Walk unfettered on the path of freedom. Rise. Now, for now, you must march along with me. Thank you so much. Jai Bhim, Jai Hind.
Honorable member, you will get your due time. Please maintain the decorum of the House. I would request the next speaker, Mr. Ritupan Mishra. Please proceed. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all members and the Honorable Speaker. I fully support the Prohibition of Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021 as put forward under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister. This bill is a welcome move, as now it will be more of a mandatory kind of practice to end the highly pernicious practice of child marriage, continuing despite Prohibition of Child Marriage Act PCMA 200 brought back in 2006. Putting the approval under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, raising the age of females to marry at 21 gives both males and females better choices and better dignity in their lives. Also, it fulfills the concept of principle of equality. Also, the women's physical, mental, and reproductive health is also protected with this bill in motion. It will also give young girls, mostly from the disadvantaged section of the society, to complete their secondary education and garner requisite skills to become financially independent. Also, this bill, in combination with national policy on education, it will do wonders as it will be more of an enabler. The girls will now be able to fulfill their higher and secondary education and empower themselves and their family to make informed choices. So, I completely support this bill. Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I request the next speaker, Ms. Aishwarya Srinivasan, to proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It's been interesting to see the views that are coming from the opposition. Let's just begin by clearing one single fact. Let's understand that this bill is one of the ways of addressing gender equality, not the only way. All right? The need for this can be mapped in multiple ways. But before we do that, let's talk about one thing. Did we acknowledge privilege when we spoke about decision-making powers? Right? Like my esteemed colleague spoke about it. It is difficult for every single 18-year-old across this country, across different strata of the society, to be able to make those decisions for themselves. That is where legal recourse comes in. And that is where we try to ensure that there is a way that these children, that these women can take a decision for themselves, can take a stand for themselves. Next, in education, despite stagnancy, which we accept, there has been stagnancy in terms of girls receiving their education. There has been a significant increase in the enrollment of girls. We've almost reached gender parity when it comes to primary school enrollments. Fun fact, USID's Plus report says that there have been a great transition in terms of 12.08 crore from primary to higher secondary. This is the age gap age group that we're looking at in terms of this bill. Now, and the substantiated increase of 14.08 lakh compared to 2018 to 2019. This is what has happened in the year of COVID. Let's just keep that in mind. Increasing the age gives them a chance to complete their educational journey. Why does education become important? You've highlighted that importance yourself, right? Awareness is created in understanding their rights, not just in choosing their sexual partners, but also in terms of when they want to get married. ACER talks about a very important part here. There is generational value in women educating themselves and getting into workforce because every generation comes from them and it's going to be the next that's going to lead this country. Education is the way to ensure that we as women have our rights, and scholarship programs have been made across in terms of schemes to ensure that girls are kept in schools. Families are not burdened if economic issues are an issue, is the biggest problem in their attaining education. We've made sure that that happens. Let's talk about workforce quickly. PLFS explicitly talks about marriage being a primary cause in significantly reducing women's labor force participation rate. Women, the same report says, women are twice as much likely to participate in the labor force than married women. Let's talk about the demographic dividend that this gets in terms of the country. Even if COVID-19 has reduced the participation of rural women, right, in the workforce, rural women's share in the labor force participation rate, I am not done speaking, sir, is still higher than that of urban women. Now, every single aspect that comes in terms of equality needs to be addressed if we have to see gender parity in this country across every place, right? What we lack here is a coalition of reason, right? Humans are not adept to change quickly. Change happens very slow. Policies work that way. Policies made today will not bring a change tomorrow. These are of generational value. Let's keep that in mind, and that is why I would want this to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I would request the next speaker, Ms. Mrunal Kulkarni, to proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So I would like to say all the rhetoric of the opposition is okay, but let me bring into notice the health aspects of increasing the marriage age from teens to 21 scientifically and holistically. So this law will ensure that better physiological health is given to the girl child who will get married after 20 years of age. So a woman married at the age of 18 faces unbearable pressure to conceive despite knowing its repercussions. According to WHO reports, adolescent mothers aged 10 to 19 years face higher risk of maternal health problems, disability, and death, reinforcing the risk of problems for the newborns as compared to the women aged 20 to 24 years. This is WHO saying, okay? Another contention is that pregnancies in teenage girls heighten the possibility of high blood pressure during the pregnancy and during the time of delivery. Anemia and many other severe pregnancy-related complications that can cause the death of the mother and thereby increase the IMR and MMR of our country. This law will also ensure a better psychological cycle for the mothers, because mothers who are pregnant and deliver, if they are teenagers, are likely to develop clinical disorders such as depression, anxiety, postpartum depression. In case of domestic violence, miscarriage, they're more vulnerable also. This is a report by the Lancet in Biology. Many studies in the Lancet journal also showed there is a positive relationship between the education of the mother and the nutritional status of the child along with overall development. New laws to help women attain higher education qualifications will also be beneficial. We all know the story of our Honorable Member of Parliament from the opposition party, Ocean Sahare, who also happens to be my friend. We saw the way she endeavored and gave befitting responses to her own struggles. The stark difference in her ability to choose when she will pass out from MPP and her ability and the other abilities of several kinds. If you compare that to what she was back in her teens, are completely different.
Request you to address the chair, please.
Yes. So, Chair, I would feel that this bill is not meant to solve the entire issues of the women, but it is a right step in the direction.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would request the next speaker, Mr. Shubham, to please proceed.
Respected Speaker, so my esteemed opposition members firstly began by voicing their opposition to increasing the age of marriage for women, for girls. Let me remind them that it was their own party in 1978 that increased the age of both men and women from 16 from 18 and 16.
Our party was formed in 2002.
Please, you will get your due time.
Yeah. So,
Please maintain the decorum.
yeah.
Please maintain the decorum. Let Mr. Shubham speak. It is not your time. I request everyone to stay silent. Mr. Shubham, please continue.
Thank you. Thank
मैं उनको बोल चुका हूँ. आप अपने पार्टी वालों का भी ध्यान दीजिए. Mr. Shubham, please.
Thank you. Yeah. So, historically, in the country of India, we have changed the age of marriage multiple times, starting from 14 to 16 to 18 and now to 21, keeping in view the socio-economic changes and opportunities being made available, also keeping in mind the public health aspects. Also, India is a signatory to the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which mentions elimination of child marriage and having uniformity in marriageable age for both men and women. Also, a point that probably might have been missed is that this law does not come into effect immediately once it is passed. Rather, its provisions come into force 2 years after receiving a presidential assent. So, in matters like these, farsightedness is required, and though there is a higher percentage of marriage between 18 to 21, the law will definitely make people think about having marriages illegally and move them in a different direction. There is also a high correlation of marriage below 18 and the education level of girls. To give some statistics, only 10% of girls who were married before the age of 21 had a higher education as compared to 62% who were married after 21. With respect to employment, only 5% of women married before 21 were employed as against 13%. We also see that 29% of those married below 21 have had 2 or more children as compared to, after had 2 or more children as compared to 77% marriage before 21. In our view, these statistics are convincing enough to increase the age, keeping in mind the future goals of the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I request the next speaker, Mr. Habibullah.
Speaker Sir, this bill is a historic one. This bill is a step towards fulfillment of a constitutional promise in the preamble to the citizens of this nation. This bill is an opportunity to ensure equality of status and opportunity to each and every citizen of this country. I take this opportunity to urge our leader of the opposition, who is a wonderful lady, and I would ask her not to oppose this bill for the sake of it. I would like to ask her to her conscience that do the young girls and ladies of this nation do not deserve an opportunity of education, of employment. Child marriage isn't social evil. That is why our predecessors have made sure to increase the age, as my fellow colleague mentioned. And in fact, it is proved that with legislation the development of women has been proven. For example, it was pretty effective that after 2006, girl-child marriage rate has dropped from 47% in 2006 and 7 to 27% in 2015 to 16. That is a 20% drop in a span of 10 years. This helped in increasing in enrollment of girls in higher education. That is, from 2007 to 2014, there has been increase in from 39% to 46%. That is, every year a percentage of girl children are enrolling in higher education. The median age for marriage act has been increased from 18.2 to 19.2% from 2001 to 2011 census. So it is my humble request to the respected leader of the opposition to understand the need of this bill and just for the sake of politics, do not get swayed and be on the right side of history being made. Now, coming to the questions of our opposition, my fellow colleague asked the question, are we educating them? This is why the bill is for. This is to ensure that the equality, the opportunity of education is reached by every individual in the capacity. There was also a mention of word immature. This is highly insensitive of the opposition to think that the citizens of this country are insensitive. Be it a woman or a man, every citizen of this country has an equal opportunity to get educated and have an opportunity to thrive in the future. Now, also our opposition, the leader of the opposition claimed that this is an attempt towards UCC. I do not understand the reason of why do they bring, sorry?
Please continue. Address the chair and continue.
Yeah, why do they bring religion in each and every matter? This is an opportunity for us to make sure that every citizen of the country has an opportunity to thrive, and I rest my case, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I request Ms. Terrace in the opposition to proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'll start with the member of the Parliament. I'll start with Ms. Ashwarya quoting that yes, change happens very slowly. Yes.
Quoting, sir.
That the change happens slowly. Yes, we have seen that very clearly with your government. Yes, change happens very slowly in this government. The Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006 replaced the Child Marriage Act of 1929 to prohibit solemnization of child marriage. But the sad reality is that child marriage is very prevalent, and somehow the ruling party is just negating and that saying that raising it to 21 will somehow automatically eradicate that. And sure, like my fellow parliamentary member said, that it is a very urgent need to tackle the social issue and it is time to bring in reforms. And society cannot progress if due diligence is not given to a women's physical, mental and reproductive health. Sure. But how is decision made about 50% population of this country made inside a room which did not have 50% representation? This is sheer hypocrisy and shows the government's intention of not consulting with the relevant stakeholders. This is also indirectly controlling women's body and right to choose. Now let us assume that the ruling party want to bring in the age-old dream of uniform civil code. But the 2008 Law Commission recommended that 18 should be the age that can be used as an equivalent platform for right to marriage. What is the logic behind 21? Is it just to get more votes? I'm sure let's see that in the next parliament election.
You talk about equality, bring it to 18 also.
Please, Honorable Member, I request you to wait for your time. You will get your time. Let the member speak.
Let's go rhetoric, because clearly rhetoric sells. What is happening here is today is expecting a seedling to develop into a healthy plant without providing the basic nutrition and elements like sunlight and water to grow.
Common sense.
Now this bill attempts to shift the burden of reforming society and development of women in a holistic manner by just raising the marriage age of women and wrapping and presenting it to the country in the name of equality, without actually investing in the required infrastructure developments for reforms.
Hypocrisy.
Now the very simple questions. Where are these investments? In the debate, it was suggested that uneducated women are not able to make decisions and therefore education should be the prior concern of the government, and without education the society cannot move. Sir, please bring in the provision of right to education at least to 18 or to 21 then, because right now it is 14. Female students find it difficult to go to schools because there is a basic lack of sanitation and toilet facilities. What is the government doing to increase the number of toilets and sanitation facilities? Day after day we hear cases of female harassment, rape cases and crime rates against women. Girls are kept inside their homes, and this is some of the very reasons they are not let to go have education. What is the government doing to bring down these crime rates?
Please talk about the bill.
Please.
This, if you can't...
Please address the chair. Rest of the members, please maintain the decorum of the house. Please, leader of opposition, please.
The legal marriage of women was, the recommendation was made by the Jetli committee back in 2020. And it was said that it should be 21. However, she explicitly mentioned that until and unless infrastructure is surrounded around this bill, there is no use. And she suggested that this
government do things immaturely. Spending has increased by 25%.
Please.
I'll come to that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Honorable members, I request you to
It is
restore the
also
decorum.
important to curb down teenage pregnancy. I mean, I very well agree with MP Mrunal. But the very fact that teenage pregnancy and abortion rates are so high, like you quoted a WHO report, but the very fact that it is backed by nutrition and that the children here in this country lack nutrition, and thanks to your government, you have curbed the nutrition.
Please, member, please. Please, please.
Don't interrupt. They are interrupting.
Like the MP said, the change doesn't happen, and it is supported by various other factors. One single bill cannot bring change. It has to be backed by various bills. So until unless you come up with infrastructure, this bill is just a vote appealing bill.
So does that make this bill wrong?
Don't interrupt. You got your time to speak. You got your time to speak. Don't interrupt
Please,
our members.
please. Yes, please continue.
Don't interrupt in
Please,
our time.
please, members.
Don't
Yeah.
interrupt in our time. Honorable Speaker, ask them don't interrupt in our time. Else give us more time. You are
Honorable member, please calm down. Let's restore the decorum of the house, okay?
We acknowledge this is a good step. But we acknowledge this is a good step.
Please.
But the very fact that it has to be backed by infrastructure and
Please.
There are many anecdotes by other MPs like there's aloofing is increasing. The trends of aloofings are increasing. Last I checked, we lived in a free democracy and people had the right to choose and love whoever they want. And please, if the fellow MPs can get back where they're getting all their facts from, because majority of them are very wrong. Last, we recommend the ruling party that this bill should be tabled in the standing committee, and that so that an inclusive and wider discussion on this bill can take place with at least 50% representation of women in the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Member. I request the Minister of Women and Child Development, Ms. Tanushka, please conclude.
Honorable Sir, the opposition and the regional combined needs to increase their women representation for sure. We are in a democracy.
Please.
25 years late to provide equal right to men and women to enter into matrimony. It is necessary to mention and shed light on the history that the marriageable age for the girl in 19th century was 10 years. Till 1940, marriage age was moved from 12 to 14. In 1978, it was again moved to 15 to be married off. There must be a reason. Today, for the first time, through this amendment, men and women both at the age of 21, keeping in mind the equal rights of marriage, and so can take the decision. To say that woman is not educated and so she cannot take the care of her rights or utilize them rightly or earn their benefits, this parliament cannot embarrass the women of this nation more. I would like to say that from 2015 to 20, research shows there are more than 20 lakh child marriages that have been stopped. NFH's 5 data shows in between the age of 15 to 18, 7% girls have been found pregnant. 23 of the girls were married at the age before 18, which is illegal and law doesn't permit it. Sir, the member of this parliament who suggests that the amendment is not secular, I would like to bring to their attention on the words of the Supreme Court. The Independent Thought versus Union of India. Supreme Court agrees that this act is secular, keeping in view the Muslim Personal Law, keeping in view the Hindu Marriage Act. All the women of all religions, all caste, all society should get equal rights in marriage. Sir, I understand the cultural, the societal, the religious and the personal family-oriented concerns and presumptions on this amendment. I would request the member of opposition, if they can just hear me out on this once, I would like to put it on my behalf that this matter can be discussed more intensely. But Honorable Speaker, sir, it is also right to say that this is largely accepted notions in general in women in country and in the rural, that there is a requirement to increase the age, the marriage age, across all religion, all caste, all creed, overrunning any custom, any law which deems to discriminate against women. For those men who stand in this house in belief of uniformity or an applicability of the law, have my gratitude. Introducing this in the parliament, this bill, it is a historic day in the history of this house. It is exemplary and strong step towards change making. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Trivedi, has given his approval for this proposal, that no woman should be discriminated in our country. Being pregnant before the age of 18 and even having 10% of chances of miscarriage. In that case, it is our duty to protect our daughters from the daunting future they hold ahead. And there is a dire need for this law.
Please.
In respect of our daughters and to protect them, our Prime Minister has taken this step. And on behalf of the sisters and daughters of this nation, I would like to wholeheartedly thank him and show my gratefulness towards him. I humbly request to let me introduce this bill on the floor of the House. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Okay. So since there has been an intensive discussion on the bill tabled by all the parties present, we'll proceed towards the voting on the bill. The method which we are following are present and voting. There are 23 members present. 22 members present, I'm sorry. There are no amendments tabled by any minister. The chair calls for a vote to move the bill by show of hands. All in favor, raise their hands.
Yes. For the equality. Just for the sake of equality. And hope you guys do something for education and other things.
Please, honorable members, please.
And it can't come by just 33% representation when we have 37.
The Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021 stands passed by majority. Honorable members, we proceed to the question hour of the House.
Speaker sir, if you can allow 5 minutes break. Speaker sir, it will be helpful for us. It was an intense discussion. Speaker sir.
We'll take 1 minute.
2 at least, 2 sir.
Please go and we'll proceed at 2:30.
Sir, 2:35 sir.
Please.